I tell you, when you miss a week and you can't be with your church family, it makes the one when you do get to come back, it just makes it even seem double special. So it's good to be back with you today. Strange things. You might be watching it thinking, so what a weird video to show right before the sermon, Eat the Frog. But, there are so many strange things in this world. And I started to gather some pictures and put up of hairdos and clothes and stuff like this. Seems strange. I said, well, I might be putting up some of my people here. Baby, what I see is strange, you may not see as strange like that. But there are so many strange things. There was a show that ran for several seasons in 2010, started in 2010, called My Strange Addictions. Anybody watch that show? You remember that? Okay. And it was just really weird, some of the things that compulsions had, or things that they would do. I remember it was a person who ate soap all the time. Bars of soap. Somebody drank air freshener on a regular basis. But my favorite one was the lady who ate toilet paper. I don't know she would tear off squares of toilet paper, and it would be she'd be standing there, and it was like a frog catching a mosquito or something, and it was just gone. How do you do that? And she would just eat toilet paper every day. I just don't know how you do that. Strange things. You've had people ask you strange questions before, and you just know how it affects you. Jesus asked a strange question in John chapter 5. He was coming along, he comes into Jerusalem, he comes to a pool, a fountain area that's called Bethesda, and there was the sick, the crippled, they would hang around this area, this pool, and the legend is that an angel would stir the water, and if the first person into the water would be healed. So of course, people who were hopelessly sick, cripples, they all different types of deformities or infirmaries, that they would go there and wait. And Jesus, it says there in John chapter 5, there was a man there that had been crippled for 38 years. And Jesus says this to him in John chapter 5, verse 6, it says this. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, do you want to get well? And we're sitting here, going, what's a strange question? Jesus, the guy's been crippled for 38 years. Why are you asking if he wants to get well? It just seems fairly obvious to us that what this man would want. Now, I'm not questioning Jesus because he had a motive behind asking that. But it just seems obvious to us why ask that question. But could Jesus ask us the same question? Do you want to get well? Now, don't confuse what I'm going to be talking about here with somebody that maybe it's you or a loved one who's suffering from a disease that you really have no control over, nothing like that. And I'm just trying to simplify it and say, well, if you want to get well, you're well. You will. I'm not saying that. But there are many things, let's be completely honest with ourselves. There are some things, physical, emotional, spiritual, that Jesus could ask, do you want to get well? And our answer is no. I don't want to do the things that would make me well. We're in our third week of our series, Win the Day. And that's where we're talking about yesterday is history, tomorrow is mystery. It is our job to win the day. And we're talking about developing habits, things that we can do, that we can control, we can win the day, that we can be successful in our lives. And so I want to ask again, do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? The lame man's choice was simple. He just said, Jesus asked the question and Jesus just healed him. But our answer, this has been one of my favorite sayings and means even more to me now. Mark Twain is credited with saying some version of this. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. Now, you're talking about strange. You might be saying, why in the world would Mark Twain say something like this? And his reasoning behind it was, if you have a big task, and it can be a big, ugly task, or it can be the most important task, he's saying, do it first thing. And then whatever comes the rest of the day, you've already taken care of the hardest thing. You've already taken care, and nothing can come your way since after that would catch you off guard. According to Duke University, a Duke University study, 45% of our daily behavior is automatic, which is good because that means we do not have to relearn everything. We just do things. We don't have to learn it new every day. There's many things we just do. We've learned it, we do it, we repeat it. That's good news unless the things you're doing are bad things. Unless the things you're doing automatically are harmful things to your heart, to your life. We are automatic people. There's no other way around it. We are automatic people. We do things that what we've learned and conditioned to do. So, of course, it's good, it's important, it's critical that we learn good habits, but it's also equally critical that if we're doing the things that are harming us, that are keeping us from winning the day, that we must retrain. We must find a way to stop those and start new ones. And so I want to talk, it's two key things I want to mention to you today. How we can win the day when it comes to eat the frog. Do some things that are most important that we have been putting off and we haven't done. The first one is this: habit switching. Habit switching. That the tagline under there, this might be something you want to jot down and put it somewhere you can read it throughout the week. If you want God to do the super, you have to do the natural. If you want God to do these miraculous things, these great things in your life, you and I have to be willing to do the things that we can do. In Mark chapter 11, Jesus was walking along with his disciples. And it says that he was hungry, and he says he comes along to a fig tree, and he went over to pick a fig from it, and he says there were no figs, there's no buds, there was nothing to eat. And Jesus said, "Cursed are you, you'll never feed anyone again." And they go on. But it says as they were traveling back through the next day, the disciples noticed that the tree was shriveled up and dead. We're just on a strange theme today, aren't we? That's probably one of the stranger miracles that Jesus did, that he shriveled up a tree. What I'm saying to us is this: there's some things in our lives that we've got to curse the fig tree. We've got to look at some things in our lives, some things that we're doing, and get rid of them. Say, no more. I've been following you. I've been following this. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been doing this for 3 years, whatever it is. And it's not working. It's only damaging me. It's bringing me down. No more. And we curse the fig tree. And we say, this isn't a direction I can continue to go in. You see, good intentions are good, but not good enough. Our good intentions are great, but they're not good enough. There comes a time that we have to say, I can't do this anymore. I've got to move on. I've got to change the things that I'm doing in my life. You know, God saves us. When we are saved, we're saved. I love what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 5. He said, he called us new creations. The old is gone, the new has come. But it's the daily habits, it's the daily changing of the lifestyle that honors the miracle of salvation. It's the things that we do on a daily basis, the things that we grind out in our lives that honor what God has done for us. And that's how we grow and change. Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 12. He said, when an evil spirit comes out of a man, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, I'll return to the house I left. When it arrives, it finds the house unoccupied, swept clean, and put in order. Then it goes and takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. And the final condition of that man is worse than the first. That is how it will be with this wicked generation. You know, it's great to break a bad habit, but that's not how you change your life. You change your life by taking the habit, a bad habit, and switching to a good habit. Habit switching. We don't change our lives by just stopping doing certain things. We replace it with something better. I'm just going to draw out a couple of examples here. Every one of us, I'm sure, have said, I need to complain less. I don't need to complain about things as much as I do. And I thought it was really funny. Just before the early service, Troy and I were standing back there, and we were kind of complaining about some stuff that was going on in our country, and then just one of us just said, but we could be in Ukraine this morning. Change. Not just if you don't want to complain, then you change. You don't just stop complaining. You replace your thought. You replace what's in your heart and your mind. When you're about to complain, you stop and think, what else? What have I got to be thankful for? What have I got that somebody else would give everything have, and I'm complaining about this small thing or this person who aggravates me or whatever? We change. We replace the bad habit with something better, a good habit. Switching habits. How many of us have said, I need to gossip less? I need to talk about people less. Well, you don't just stop talking, do you? That's almost impossible. It's so difficult to just stop talking. But when we replace it, that we look for the good. We're going to, before I say anything, I'm going to find out something about this person. I'm going to find out something about their background. I'm going to think of something good. I'm going to find something good in them. And I've come to the conclusion of this. It's not necessarily that we complain too much or gossip too much. We do, but I think we have too much opportunity to give our opinion. This is going to be earth-shattering for some of us, but the world will do fine without our opinion. And it's just too easy to give an opinion these days on everything. And when you offer your opinions on everything, it easily leads to complaining. It leads to gossip. It leads to negativity. Easy, right? To just change like that. How can we do that? How can we do it consistently? Now, to me, this is the exciting part. The habit switching, that's great. That excites me. But this is what really excites me. The second thing, habit stacking. Habit stacking. Now, I'm going to ask a question here. How many of you drink coffee? Okay, drink coffee. All right, it's a lot of people. How many of you are in the category, like me, that coffee is the first thing you think of when you wake up? Okay, I'm telling you, man, I never thought I'd be there, but I'm with you, brother. I feel you, sister. You wake up and you think about, when's that first cup of coffee going to happen? Maybe it's not coffee with you, but there's something that is a very pleasurable thing I look forward to immediately in my day is coffee. Why not stack a cup of coffee with something you've been meaning to do but you don't do? Stack your coffee with, I've been wanting to read my Bible more. Okay, when the coffee is brewed, that means I sit down and I read my Bible as I drink my cup of coffee. Or if it's prayer. Or if it's trying to develop a grateful attitude, so at that time when you're drinking that cup of coffee, you're going to write down the things you're grateful for that day. The things that happened the day before. Whatever it is, you stack those habits together. You connect them. You link something that's something you already enjoy to something you're wanting to enjoy. This is not some self-help guru type stuff that I've read. It's not a self-help book. This is a God-help thing. You see, God tells us things, but He also tells us how to accomplish those things. A great example here in Deuteronomy. This is the promised land. They're about ready to go into the promised land, and Joshua tells them this. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 5 and 6, he says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts." Important. He's put it at the very top. This is a thing you've got to do, people. He's telling this new nation, this is the things you've got to do if you want to live long, live happy, please God. You got to do these things. But how? Here's the beauty of it. Look what he says in verses 7 through 9. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Some of these things seem strange because they became a very Jewish thing about what they would do at the door frames and wearing scripture and things on the. But all of us, you get it. We do these things. All of us sit down. All of us get up. All of us lie down. All of us go to eat. All of us do these things. Every parent has looked forward to that time that their child reaches out to hold their hand and walk. Grandparents, every one of you, and you're smiling now because you think about that when they take hold of your hand. God is telling them, he says, the most important thing is this, and this is how you'll accomplish it. You just make it a generational thing. You make it something you do every day. You stack these things together as you walk and as you talk and as you live. This is genius, and it's from God. Mealtime, we think about, I want to pray more. Think about this. Just little things you can stack together. Maybe you don't look forward to coffee the way I do. But I bet you look forward to mealtime. Pray every meal. That's 3 prayers a day. You look forward to waking up in the morning. Your eyes have opened, you found another day. That's another prayer. It's 4. You go to bed at night, another prayer. You've prayed 5 times. Stacking things that you already do to things that are good. Stacking the habits together. One church did, I thought this was really great. They did a church-wide prayer campaign, and it was based on that 2 Chronicles 7:14 verse. You know, it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. It's based on that. And this is what they were to do. That all through the week, if they ever saw the number 7 or 7:14 in anything, they just stopped. They would stop, recite this verse, and say a prayer. All the opportunities. How many times do you see 7 or 14 during the day? How many times if you say we need to pray for our land, we need to pray for our country, we need to pray for our leaders, whatever it is, every time you would see a star or a flag or anything, that was your stacking symbol, that I'm going to stack a prayer on top of this. The opportunities are endless. It not only helps you begin new habits, it helps you continue them to bring real life change. And the bottom line is habit stacking could be the thing that just opens up your life to these things. But we got to do something. We got to eat the frog. We got to check the box. You got to put in the application. You got to turn the TV off. You got to get up in the morning a little earlier. You got to do this. But you got to find the frog. You got to eat it. Swallow the frog, and then see where your life moves to. And I'm excited about this because I'm already taking steps in my life just to be better at these things. I want to mention just a couple of things that may help you a little bit. Number one is just make it measurable. There are 3 M's. Make it measurable. Something that you can measure. Domino's. In 2000, not the pizza place. It's too close to lunch to say that in it. 2017, the world record was set for stacking a line of dominoes. 15,524 dominoes. Took 2 days for them to be set up, 5 minutes for them to fall. The world record. But it started with 1 domino. Measure it. When you measure something, you make it maintainable, or manageable. It's developing great habits starts with 1 step, starts with 1 thing. I mentioned about just we want to know more Scripture. Every Christian says they want to know more Scripture. I don't know if you remember this. We had a revival speaker. I bet it was 10 plus years ago. One of the nights of revival, he put on a costume from the era of Jesus' time and acted in character. He was being Jesus, and he recited the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount, 105 verses, 2,000 words, and he never looked at a note. And I remember everybody at the church, wow, that was amazing. You know how he did that? One verse at a time. It started somewhere. You don't learn that in one sitting. He built and he built up till he got to that. Habit stacking. Make it measurable. Admiral William McRaven delivered the commencement address to the University of Texas in 2014. This is what he says. It's, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. That's what college seniors need to hear, make your bed. That's what he was talking. He said, begin every day with a completed task. And his idea is when you begin the day, start with a success. Start with a task that this is what I do first. It says, then you take on the rest of the day. I love this verse that where they were entering to the promise or crossing the Jordan River. And it says this in the Israelites crossing the Jordan. So Joshua 3:5 says this, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. And if I'd have been standing in that crowd, I've kind of got a feeling when he says tomorrow the Lord's going to do great things, I would say, what's wrong with today? Maybe I wasn't ready for today. Maybe God was saying, get ready because great things are coming. He said, consecrate yourself today for the Lord to do great things. You never know when the day is going to be here that's going to change all days for the rest of your life. Some days are just much like the day before, but there are going to be days that change the rest of your days. Be ready. Make it meaningful. A husband got into his car, and the first thing he did was he put the seatbelt on, and his wife said, what are you doing? And the child in the back said, we've been trying to get you for 10 years to wear your seatbelt, and you won't wear it. He said, I don't know. He said, I just hadn't had any trouble remembering to put my seatbelt on since I visited my friend in the hospital that was in a car wreck and wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and he was thrown through the windshield. He's got 200 stitches in his face. Did he get some new information on the safety of wearing a seatbelt? No. It touched the heart. It became real to him. He found meaning in that action. Find meaning in the action beyond the action. Janice's mom, she smoked most of her life, but she was a funny smoker. She was one of those smokers who didn't think you knew she smoked. You know, and that's just fun to me. That's just fun to me. And I'd make all kind of comments like I didn't know she was a smoker, you know. And but she wouldn't quit for anything until a little blonde-haired grandchild looked up one day and says, Nana, will you quit smoking? Ta-da! Not another cigarette. She found meaning past the action of just quitting smoking. She found a meaning in that. And some of the habits that I need to develop is not just for us. It's for the next generation. It's for your family. It's for your husband or for your wife. It's going to be for your grandchildren. For a generation of things that you start stacking to do now, it's going to be past the action itself. And the final thing is just make it maintainable. Make it maintainable. This is another good saying if you want to write something down. It says, if you will do the little things like they are big things, God will do the big things like they're little things. Take care of the little things, and God will take care of the big things in life. Dream big, yes. Envision your life down the road. Envision it all, dream about it, but start small. Consistency trumps intensity every day of the week. I remember my mom one time saying to me, she said she was so aggravated at my dad, which wasn't anything new, if you know my dad, but she was so aggravated. And she said, my dad was a drinker, and he smoked several packs of cigarettes a day, burned holes on the couch, and just, the whole thing. And she was aggravated because he had torn his cigarettes up and thrown them in the trash can. I'm like, Mom, isn't that a good thing? She said, well, this is what happens over and over. His drinking buddies would be there. I would say pour out the alcohol, but they'd already drank that. All the buddies would be there, and one of them would come up and say, I could put these things down, never touch them again. Well, prove it. And my dad, they'd tear up their cigarettes and throw them in the trash can. And you know where my dad would be the very next morning? Buying another carton of cigarettes, spending money we didn't have. And that aggravated my mom so much. Most of the big things in our lives don't need to come with a big proclamation. It's just doing it. It's just eating the frog every day. Doing the things that need to be done. The church worldwide has gone through tremendous changes the last 2 years because of COVID. Experts are saying, and I must say, that they have been spot on, particularly a guy that Eric and I like to read behind. They've been spot on by saying, this is what you're going to see, this is what you're going to see, and they've just been right on with their latest thing. We just read this last week, said, the people you have back at church now is what your church is going to be. Because we live in that thing of, well, before COVID, we were running these numbers. Before COVID, these people, and then we just always keep hoping. And then they're saying, this is it. You're probably not going to get those people back, at least not at your church. And I pray they're wrong. Because that means nationwide, we're going to have probably about 25% to 30% less people involved in a church family than 2 years ago. And I know there have been health concerns, and I know there's people with true fear, and like I say, the health concerns. And I'm not putting down, and I know right now I'm preaching to the choir because you're here. So if you're watching this on Facebook or online, or when you watch a message, it's recorded. I'm not criticizing, but I am saying, find a way back. Find a way back. To try to follow Christ and not be connected to anyone is not maintainable. It's going to be unbelievably difficult. It's hard enough in this life and all the things that come at us, but it's going to be next to impossible without it. Janice and I have started doing something from this summer that we've never done before. We have never been build a fire people. And we've got a fire pit now. And we like to go out if the weather's good. We go out and build a fire and sit around out there an hour and a half, 2 hours at night. I've just never done that. If you've got firewood that's missing, it was probably me that took it, because I don't have any trees to cut down, anything like that. So I'm taking people's firewood. But we'll sit out there and sit around the fire. And Janice says, well, I think I'm going to go in. I said, okay, I'll be right behind you. She said, you going to pour some water on the fire? And I said, no. And what I do is I take the poker and I just spread the ashes out. Or not the ashes, but the embers out. And you see that fire begin to die. Because the power is in those embers being together. But when they're just spread out on that, in the bottom of that pit, not touching each other, they quickly lose their glow and go away. What's your frog? What's the frog you've got to eat this week? That you got to make a commitment to, that I've just got to do these things. I've got to do these things to survive, to be successful in this world, to be what God has created me to be the husband, the wife, the student, whatever it is to do. Eat the frog. Get it done. Just do it. For some of us, it may be just getting up and come down this aisle today during the service or after the service and saying, I need to talk. For others, it's going home and just doing what you need to do.